Okay, we're doing quotes from the Holy Grail of Wisdom quotes by me, Pete Rogers. First one is David Lynch. He's a film director. He says, "We only have dreams of images that are already inside of us." So it's sort of what that means to me is you have to keep on going and seeking out new information if you're going to expand what you're capable of thinking about. Negativity is the enemy of creativity. Yeah, you want to sort of isolate yourself and just be able to read and think. And it's people that are being negative, and if you start becoming afraid of doing something, you're less able to be creative. So you can avoid unnecessarily stressful things. Ideas are like fish. If you want to just catch a little one, you can stay in the shallow water. But to catch a big one, you have to go out into the deep water. Down deep, the fish are more powerful and pure. They're big and abstract and beautiful. Okay, so yeah, that's true. You have to get going out into the other waters. Like most reason why PhDs don't really understand anything is usually because they study too narrow of a field. To understand a field well, you have to read in all the fields that are around it or even seem remotely connected to it to make sense out of stuff. Next is Gary Lynch, neuroscientist at UC Irvine, University of California, Irvine. He was featured in the book called 101 Theory Drive, The Discovery of Memory. He was a pioneering neuroscientist in the work on long-term potentiation as a mechanism for retaining memories through, modification of a neural synapse. So here are his quotes. Graduate students are the cannon fodder of science. In comparison with physics, biology is very messy. It is harder to get clear-cut answers to questions in biology. The hippocampus is like an index card, a filing system for memories. You can only do science if somebody will give you the money to do science. We're about to nail this MF to the door when he felt he was close to proving that LTP was the key to long-term memory. He said, here's one I like. The hippocampus has been likened to a purgatory for memories, and before they are accepted to be allowed and encoded in cortical memory heaven. Yeah, because your hippocampus tries to connect them to something you already know, and it's only going to keep that memory if it's valuable to you. That's why all that grade school, high school stuff you did in the public schools that was worthless, you don't remember it. You don't remember what you had for breakfast the previous day because it's of no value to you. Okay, so he's continuing on his theories on memory. He says, Professor Leo Standing, a Canadian psychologist, once set out to test the capacity of memory for pictures. And people could remember 10,000 pictures with 90% accuracy, even if they only saw them for about 5 seconds. This paper was called Learning 10,000 Pictures. So that's quite extraordinary. The capacity for memory seems mind-numbingly, almost impractically huge beyond anything we can imagine using it for. Well, the key is that our memory is designed to keep us alive, to walk down a path in a forest, a jungle, or a prairie, and to enable us to survive. And what do we do when we're outdoors? We have to see pictures very quickly and interpret them. What is that? What is the significance? Is that good or bad or indifferent to me? And you have to figure that out real quick, like Voltaire had said, why do animals have memory but plants don't? Because animals move, okay? So as soon as you start moving, you need to make judgments. You got to have a memory. How do I get back to where I came from? All that sort of stuff. And, like the sea squirt, it's the animal like as a tadpole. It swims around. It has a tail. It has a brain. But as an adult, it attaches to a rock, becomes a filter feeder, and its brain is reabsorbed. If you don't move, you don't need a brain. And if you're a total conformist, you don't need much of a brain. Gary Lynch continues. What's the point of all that is if you want to remember something, you want to look at pictures. And you'll notice that in my presentations. When possible, I try to show a lot of pictures because I know people remember that better. Okay, I know myself whenever I study a subject, if I can, I want to find a picture. I'll try to hang on to that picture. Okay, Gary Lynch. The human brain is about 1,350 milliliters, which is more than 3 times larger than the largest of our nearest relatives, of the primates, like chimpanzees. For most primates, brain size follows predictably from body size, but humans are the prominent exception to the rule. Okay, chimp and gorilla brains tend to be about 400 grams in weight, so we're more than triple the size of their brain. 65 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, a giant asteroid about 9 miles wide hit Mexico and stirred up a giant dust cloud. The dinosaurs, who were daytime creatures dependent on vision, were screwed. The mammals at that time were often nocturnal and largely dependent on smell, and they were able to survive. Eventually, mammals became more dependent on sight. So I kind of doubt even a 9 miles wide asteroid hitting Mexico is going to create a blackout everywhere, even farther away where there might have been dinosaurs. So that theory sounds a little bit bogus to me, but that's one of the theories about how the dinosaurs were wiped out. Gary Larson had the cartoon where he says the real reason the dinosaurs went extinct, and he shows them smoking cigarettes. Okay, anyways, this is where I think it gets interesting here. Let me move this over. So these originally, he thinks the mammals like the rodents survived, who are largely dependent on sense of smell. And then he said, once these animals stood upright, their nose became farther from the ground and therefore less useful. However, that original olfactory cortex, which is connected up to the hippocampus, became the prototype for memory and the foundation for frontal lobe cortical expansion because it's able to randomly associate things. And I think that's fantastic. So vision, hearing, tactile, and tactile sensory cortices, those are relatively unimodal specific for that type of thing, for touch, for hearing, for seeing. Whereas long-term potentiation, associating something with a smell, you know that you can associate a smell with anything. You can associate a smell with something that tastes good. You can associate the smell of your family home, associate the smell of your girlfriend, you know. Things have a characteristic smell, okay? And you can associate them with just about anything. You know, that smells like cinnamon, that smells like something else. So that's why it can be used to associate any two things. Okay, so then he goes on to talk about it. He talks about how it's going to use the NMDA receptor, the calcium channel, from the glutamate receptors. Okay, structural changes in memory included the microtubules and an integrin protein. The key thing of olfactory cortex is that it can randomly associate information, connect two seemingly disparate things. Okay, long-term potentiation rewires the growth of new synaptic connections. You can make more synapses. You can add to the amount of neurotransmitters sent across that gap. Long-term memory takes longer because you need to have new protein synthesis. Okay, so that's it for Gary Lynch for today. I just thought that was cool about it being the sense of smell that led to our expanded memory, he thinks, and I think he's right on that. That totally makes sense. Okay, next is a guy by the name of Edward George Bulwer Lytton, and then we'll be done for the letter L. I have more stuff that I can't include all of it. There's just too much of it, but this is what we'll go him as the last guy, letter L. The pen is mightier than the sword. Genius is but fine observation strengthened by a commitment to purpose. Yeah, genius in a field. By genius, the definition I like best is a genius is someone who transforms a field. Okay? And what you'll hear about the geniuses, they'll typically say, I stuck with the problem longer than other people. Other people thought the problem wasn't worth solving or was unsolvable, but they stuck with it, like Newton on gravity. Okay? Okay, another famous line by Bulwer Lytton. It was a dark and stormy night. You see that like in the Peanuts comic strip. Okay. He continues, genius is fine observation strengthened by fixity of purpose. Genius is the master of the man. Genius does what it must. Talent does what it can. The true spirit of conversation consists in building on another's observation, not on overturning it. A man of genius is always renourishing his genius. When a person is down in the world, an ounce of help is better than a pound of preaching. It is books that carry from age to age the intellectual wealth of the world. Yeah, the books last longer than anything else. They last longer than the buildings, longer than the statues. So anyways, that's it for letter L. I hope you found that helpful.